Hey guys, so this is the video for the tissue paper art. So this is the drawing that I actually ended up doing. So I'm going to get a little closer so you can sort of see the design. It's sort of a kind of an abstract of some faces, if you can see that in there. So one thing that I did learn while doing this video, so I'm going to pass it on to you guys first. The darker tissue papers worked best. This pink color is actually the dark red, the dark purple, and the dark blue. For some reason, even the dark green did not want to transfer onto this paper. So the dark red, dark blue, and dark purple, they worked the best. Also, when you're putting your crayon design on first, I really recommend going full bore, press down, get as much of that white crayon on your paper as you can. I kind of cheated and I went back and I went over it one more time after I did this so that I could sort of see the faces that were in there. So we're going to just hop right in. I'll show you what's in your kit and we'll just get into it. Also, while I was doing this video, I did find that if you get the paper wet first and then put on your tissues, they stay better on your paper. They don't move around, and they also start to transfer the ink a little bit better from the tissue paper onto your watercolor paper. Okay, so let's just hop into it and let's get this video going. All right. Okay, so in your kit, you're going to have a piece of watercolor paper, and you're going to have a squirt bottle. Now, if I run out of squirt bottles, some of you siblings might get one of these bottles. So all you have to do is just put water in it. That's all this is just plain tap water. You're going to get a white crayon and then a little packet of these little tissue papers. So once you have drawn your design with your white crayon, which I've already done, so before I started, I went ahead and drew my picture. I don't know if you can even see it there. It's sort of an abstract of some faces. So once you have finished your design with your white crayon, what you're going to do is you're going to take some of the tissue papers and you're going to spread it out all over the paper. So basically what happens is when you get the tissue paper wet, what it does is it's going to bleed the color onto your watercolor paper. So I've got my tissues out and I'm just gonna pick some colors that I kind of like. I kind of like some of the blues and the greens here, so like maybe around this here I gotta put maybe that, and so just maybe take a few of some of the colors that you like, and then maybe I might grab a few red. I got some red here, and just sort of spread the colors just the way that you want them. Now I'm going to make mine pretty colorful. I like colors. So I'm going to grab a few orange, put them around, maybe some greens up in here. So what you want to do is make sure that your entire watercolor paper is covered with these tissues. So I'm going to go ahead and hit fast forward and then just lay out my colors really quick. Okay, so now I have all of the tissue papers on my watercolor paper. So I had, if you notice, I did overlap a lot of these colors, because what's going to happen is once you get it wet, the two colors are going to mix and make a completely different color. So all you have to do now is just take your water bottle and spray the whole thing and get it wet. So I'm just going to stand up and do that. So let's see if I get this to, there we go. Okay, so just get it wet. And if you have another water bottle at home that you want that sprays water, go ahead and use that if it works better than these little guys. These were kind of inexpensive. We got them off of Amazon. Okay, so let's just get this all wet if I can. There, that's working a lot better. So you just want to make sure that the tissue paper is nice and wet. And yeah, your table is gonna get wet. If you're using a nice kitchen table, don't make mom and dad angry. Put something under it if you can, like tin foil or a piece of cardboard. These are our craft tables upstairs, so it's okay if they get a little wet. It just makes them have character. Okay, so now that this is all nice and wet, I am going to let it sit here and just let the whole thing dry. And then what we'll do is once this is all dry, you just take off the tissue papers. And hopefully what is going to be left over is your white drawing with all of the colors spread out, and then of course the white popping through. So let's go ahead and stop the video for now, let this dry, and then we'll be back. So I had to interrupt the drying process. I lifted up some of the tissue paper to see how it was coming along, and this tissue paper is surprisingly resilient to water, and the water wasn't going all the way through. So what I did is I got my hand just sort of wet, and I'm sort of just squishing it, hoping that it'll kind of force the paper or the water to go through the tissue paper. I was really shocked when I lifted up some of this and it wasn't bleeding through. So I am just squishing it in right now, and hopefully that is going to get some of that water to go through the tissue paper and then get on the watercolor paper. So, you know, be very careful. Make sure your hand is wet. If your hand is dry, it started lifting the tissue paper off of the watercolor paper. So once I got my hand wet, it sort of stopped lifting. So it looks like that is starting to work. It seems like the water is starting to seep through that tissue paper, and basically it's the pressure that is actually causing the water to finally go through all of this tissue paper. Yeah, I was really surprised that the water was not going through very well. Okay, so this is still slightly damp, but I'm just going to go ahead and just start very carefully peeling off all of the squares, and let's hope that the color bled onto that paper. So it looks like some of it bled really well, like the green didn't look like it went very well. Maybe this purple hopefully got on there. Yeah, so there it goes. You can see it coming in. So what I would do if I were you guys is I would go ahead and let this dry as best you can, and I'm going to just peel this right now and just see what my picture looks like. So I'm going to speed up the video really quick, and I'm going to see if I can get this stuff off, because it is this is going to be a little time consuming getting all of this stuff off without, you know, ruining the watercolor paper underneath. Oops, I dropped my spray bottle. So let's see if I can just get some of this to come off so you can just sort of see it. There, it's coming off. So some of it is looking great. Some of them, like the greens, didn't really bleed that well, but that red really did. So at least this way you can see what colors worked for me and which didn't, and obviously, you know, avoid the colors that that didn't work so great. Let's see. So the purple ones look really good. Okay, so definitely be careful when you peel the paper, the tissue paper. I just tried to use a nail to get under this, and it started to lift the watercolor paper a little bit. So be careful when you take this off so that you don't destroy the watercolor paper underneath. Okay, so it looks like the reds worked really, really well. Some of these colors are not working so great, which is a little disappointing. I was kind of hoping to get some really cool colors off of this. I would suggest perhaps letting it dry, and it could just be that this brand of tissue paper that we got is a little bit more durable, or maybe not as prone to bleeding off. So, get my keys out of here. So as you can see that the reds worked really well. This little blue I've been trying to get off here. Let's see if I can get this to come off. Yeah, that's so strange. You know, I've done this so many times when I was a kid, and I've never had the tissue paper not bleed onto the paper. That is so bizarre how it doesn't want to do it. Yeah, like that pink didn't work at all. Oh, that's so disappointing. But the reds worked really well. It made a nice pink. The purples seemed to work okay. The grays, not so much. The yellow, not a whole lot. We got a little yellow here in the center. Let's see if I can get some of this stuff to come off here. It's like the greens didn't work all that great. So since I've got the design on this, you know what I might just end up doing is just putting purple and red on here, and then re-wetting the whole thing and seeing if that might work a little better. I do like a lot of colors, but obviously some of these colors, like that green, didn't bleed at all. But then you get, like, you know, the purples came through very well. And the reds turned out nice and pink. Let's see if I can get this blue to come off of here. So just because I can, I think I will end up going back and tossing a whole bunch of red, a whole bunch of purple on here so that my design shows through. Because that was kind of a cool little design that I did, and I would really like to be able to keep this, to be honest. But definitely when you start taking this off, be careful not to gouge. I did a couple times with my thumb. So when you scrape off the tissue paper, if you're using a nail, be very gentle, because I had some of my paper get a little torn up from trying to take off the tissue paper with my nails. And I might, oh, just roll your finger on there. It rolled right off. Let me see if I can get this to roll off. Oh, that works so much better. Just use your finger and just roll the paper. Oh, that's working so much better. I wish I knew that from the beginning. There, that's coming off really nice. All right. Now, I don't even know if you can even see my design. See if I can zoom in, if you can see any of it. Probably not. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to recover this thing with a whole bunch of pink and purple. Actually, red and purple. Oh, I just gouged my picture. You know what? If I frame it, I can fix that. Yeah, I really gouged it. So be careful when you're working with this thing, because that the watercolor paper can actually be a bit fragile. That it just did. So I took off the tissue paper, and you can see I've got some lovely color. Now, one thing I did notice is that my crayon is not very noticeable. So when you do this, I definitely recommend that you put on quite a lot. I mean, like really smash that on there. But you can kind of see my design there just a little bit. It's sort of an abstract of some faces and some squiggly lines. So I think what I'll end up doing is taking my white crayon and going back over it. Now, I did find out that some of these tissue papers do not like to leave color. The ones that worked the best were the red and the blue, these ones, the dark blue. And then we had some nice dark purple. These are the three that worked the best. For some reason, the oranges, the yellows, even the dark green really did not come through at all. So I recommend these three colors the most, and there should definitely be enough in there for you to cover your whole picture. But anyway, that's how that works. And then when I was taking the tissue paper off, I kind of ripped that little corner, but you know, stuff happens. So anyways, well, there's my picture. I don't even know if you can even see my little design, but I'm definitely going to go back over it with some white crayon and make it more noticeable. So anyway, I hope you guys had fun doing this. I know I did. And we'll see you next time, next week. All right, well, there it is. All right, guys. Hope you had fun. Bye.